This is the new Golf GTI TCR street legal version, and well, at first I thought, just another GTI version. But boy, we can take it out here today on the racetrack in southern Portugal, and I can promise you for this episode, it will be something very special. Here on Autogefühl, your number one resource for in-depth car reviews and your number one community to discuss cars, with Thomas, we're going to explain everything in exterior, interior, and that racetrack driving experience, and we will also tell you how is it different to the normal GTI Performance, and how is it even different than to a step further to the Golf R. We'll find out together in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! The front of the Golf GTI TCR is a little bit stronger, has some lower bumpers here, and here in the front automatically comes with LED headlamps. That's also for the normal GTI Performance, but I think it's very well integrated here too, with a red stripe that directly lead over to the headlamps, and a comp style grille here and here. So yes, it's a normal Golf, but definitely shows that typical GTI face. The length of a Golf is at 4.26 meters. 168 inches or at 14 foot, and that's the same for the 5-door and the 3-door variant. There are some variants, so an estate that is a little bit longer, about 30 centimeters, but we're staying with the hatch here today. The TCR indeed available as 5-door as we see it here at the moment, but also as a 3-door. It comes with 18-inch rims. Those ones are the optional rims. There are two wheel packages basically available which come together. I call it Performance Pack because it's easier to remember, with the 19-inch rims here. And then you also get the DCC, the dynamic chassis control, the adaptive suspension, which then puts the car even 5 millimeters lower, as I said initially. But the front wheel differential lock, that one comes directly with every TCR. You don't need an additional package for that. This is here just a special comp style paint. You don't have to have it basically. Classic strong C-pillar for a Golf. It's more really about the wheels and that the car is put a little bit lower, and special TCR spoilers. And you've maybe seen that those brake discs also have some holes in it. Well, that maybe increases the racetrack performance just a little bit temperature-wise. Pretty interesting. Of course, we will test it out today on the racetrack. It will be so interesting, I can promise you. So, but here you can see the tail lamps since the recent MK 7.5 facelift. This one here has more technology style, looks a little bit more modern. I think that's also well done. Other than that, classic Golf design. The TCR gets the stronger spoiler in the lower part here with a big black diffuser, and those are real exhaust pipes. I think also visually they're quite okay. The GTI is always something in between, of not going too far, but already showing some elegance and sportiness. So, what do you think about the design here of the GTI TCR? And today we have two colors for you on location. It's the Tornado Red, our main vehicle, and this is here the so-called pure gray. I think it's also very fitting for the whole car. And as I said, those wraps here, you can go for them, but they're actually quite expensive. So I think I would rather let them and just have the pure color of the vehicle. So what do we have here under the hood? Hydraulic struts, I really love that. So this is a known 2-liter TSI turbo petrol engine. In the GTI Performance it has 245 horsepower. Here now it has 290 horsepower. Just on the front wheels, well, you have this front differential lock. Let's see how that one plays out on the racetrack. If we have some serious understeering or not, we'll find out for you soon. The acceleration figure, let's compare it also to the GTI Performance. There in the GTI Performance it is 6.2 seconds to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. Here it is 5.6. So 0.6 seconds faster. And in Golf R with the all-wheel drive, more traction on the ground, would be even a second faster than this one here at 4.6. So this one here, 5.6 versus 4.6 at the Golf R. But will it maybe be faster than the Golf R on the racetrack still? Because on the racetrack it's not only about 0 to something acceleration, it's, you know, you get going, it's also about weight distribution and so on. That one will also be a very interesting factor coming up very soon. This is the car key, standard Volkswagen Golf, here with a small GTI badge, but the TCR doesn't get anything special. Keyless entry, when you put your hand here, close the car, put your hand inside, then you open it, there we go, and classic solid Golf closing sound from the doors. Then also soft materials at the inside of the doors is a great processing from the quality materials. And this Alcantara at the inside of the doors, leatherette arm cover, also soft. A lot of space at the inside of the doors, that also comes quite handy. And then, well, the GTI Performance already comes with a lot of standard features, which the TCR just, you know, takes over. The active info display, the digital instruments count for that too. You always get those digital instruments, no analog possible. Then you have the GTI steering wheel with a flat bottom and also red contour stitches, GTI logo. And those seats, I mean, the GTI Performance already has performance seats. Those ones here are specially designed then for the TCR, so they're not so different, just a little bit different in the design. Here with some GTI stamping and Alcantara inserts right there, leatherette on the outside, and the main seating surface is fabric on the inside. It's good for the racetrack, so you don't slide around that much. Same time it stays cool in summer and hot in winter. So overall it's a good choice. And again, an elegant setup here for the GTI interior. You get in like in any other normal compact hatch on any other Golf. This one of course sits a little bit lower. Do you feel that extremely? Not extremely, just a little bit. Other than that, the seats are actually quite comfortable. You can put the seats all the way down, and with 1.86 m or 6'1", you get this amount of headroom still left. That's, you know, quite decent. It's okay. So also tall people will get along with it, no problem. The steering wheel can be adjusted in reach and height, and it's a very smooth process. Perforated sides here. You get a 12 mark position here. Soon more to the rest of the interior from another position. I can just say it's a standard Golf seating position. It's comfortable. It's one of the most comfortable in the compact segment. Here you can see as the screens are shut off at the moment. We'll soon turn them on and then tell you more. Seats are manual here at the moment, but also does just fine. Here you can pump it up. I always pump it up a little bit. It's, you know, a little bit better for the seating position. And then the manual adjustment also really fine-tuned than with this jog wheel here at the sides. So those seats are sporty, but still offer you enough room to move around. Hey, look at that. See, it's from the door, a TCR logo that is projected to the ground. That's really nice. You can see where it is located. This is the interior overview. Again here, soft touch also at the top of the dashboard. You can see standard Golf style is that the middle unit is leaned towards the driver just a little bit. The steering wheel here with a 12 o'clock position, and the steering angle and stuff, you know, how the steering feels, is taken from the TCR true race car. I will soon tell you more about that when we drive the vehicle. So when we start the screens here now, as I said, the digital cockpit here is standard. The top infotainment screen, this one here, the 9.2 inch screen, the biggest one you can get, is not standard. You can also go with a smaller one, which has somewhat, you know, it's not that well integrated as this one. This one looks very clean and stuff, but this one does not have any knob or something left. Some might prefer the smaller one to have this separate knob, and the software is also somewhat, let's say, easier to control a little bit. Then zoom more details to the screens. Let me finish up here the steering wheel, cruise control on the left side, and also the volume on the right side. You change stuff in the infotainment screen on the middle part, the instruments screen. By the way, check engine light logo is totally normal when it appears now. As soon as you turn on the real engine, then it disappears. When it then will be flashing, then it's a problem. It's the same with all VAG vehicles. Separate climate control, I really appreciate it, because I have so many situations where I would just want to change something a little bit, and then it's not distracting while driving when you have those separate wheels for that. The TCR here, the GTI TCR, will always come with a dual clutch transmission with a DSG. It's not available as a manual, 7-speed right here. This is the shifting lever, also with a microfiber back here. Very interesting, it's pretty cool. Driving mode selector, I'll talk about the drive mode when we drive the car very soon. And then you can open this lower part here with the storage space, and you can put your smartphone in right there. Sadly, it's only one USB supply right there. The Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is available, and that works pretty flawlessly. It's a very good integration. You can also listen to your own music and then switch back to the car internal GPS. Last but not least, we have an electric handbrake as well as adaptive cup holders right there, just a little bit hidden. All again with a good build quality, and an armrest which is very well attached with some storage space inside. Those are the digital instruments. In the middle you can have, for example, a lap timer or driving data, or you can have the assistance systems view, but also something of the GPS. It's not flickering in real life, it's just on camera here at the moment, by the way. And you can also zoom in and out then with the buttons at the steering wheel. And you can always change the view just a little bit. For example, also which one you want to exactly here inside, but also on the right or on the left side. So you have a lot of flexible options. That's the good thing about this one. So this is the main menu. You also have this wiping gestures you can use. You can always use them about that when you see the small hand symbol, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. You can just do it like this, and it's probably also easier. Let me tell you something about the GPS. I think it's also one of the best to use because it's pretty simple. It's very responsive, good CPU unit. But however, the glass, it looks nice, it feels nice, but I'm really also fine with the 8-inch with a smaller one. The smallest in the Golf would be 6.5-inch, so they're overall 3 sizes. I'm pretty much fine with the 8-inch. I think that's a good one to go for here. Then you also still have a knob here for zooming in and for the volume unit. This one is fancy, but I think you can also just stay with the standard one. Oh, by the way, rear view camera. Let me show you that. It's okay from the resolution here, but I think meanwhile it should be a little bit better resolution-wise, but that will only come with the all-new generation, I guess. You also have this, sensor view from above. A full review on Autogefühl wouldn't be a full review if we wouldn't show you the rear legroom and stuff. First of all, design-wise and quality material as well. At the rear it's hard pack, not unlike in the front, but we have nice microfiber inserts and the leatherette also at rear doors, and the same TCR special design for the rear bench, forming some kind of 2 single seats, so also nice design. I really like the microfiber inserts here. They feel and look quite cozy, and you flip the seats already from here, but you can also do it from the trunk. I'll soon show you that. Well, what about the rear legroom? Of course, it's not different from any other Volkswagen Golf, and it's somewhat standard for the compact hatch segment. I do exactly fit in here with my height, 1m86 or 6'1". Still some headroom left, and with the knees, when I'm driving as a tall driver, it directly fits. It's not different with the estate, by the way. If you go for like a, let's say Golf R estate, that would be like one of the dream compact estates. The rear legroom is the same as a hatch and estate. It's just more about the trunk length that the estate has a little bit more there. So it does work. It's not something, it's not superb, but it's also not a little. I think it's just standard for the compact hatch segment. And inside the compact hatch segment, I think it's also, a little bit more than others have. But for example, a Skoda Octavia has even more, but then again, this one moves already to the mid-size segment. just, some thoughts about that. So let me show you what's possible here with the trunk. You flip the logo to open it. The rear view camera is also hidden there, therefore it also stays clean. Quite clever idea. The length here of the hatch is about 75 centimeters in length, and it's about a meter in width. And when I put a backpack right in here, that's how it looks like. So it's a normal usable hatch trunk space, and in the segment, it's also among the best. That's for sure. I've tested that out a couple of times. DIN audio system, optional equipment here below that, or a replacement tire. You have to decide for that. It's a good sound, by the way, from the DIN audio system, but not as good as you would have the DIN audio system in the Tiguan. There it was especially good. You can also reach over and then flip the seats from here, actually, and then you have the maximum loading length. Here we go. So, those compact hatches are no loading wonders, but still you can use them for the most stuff you want to do. Then you get a length of 146 centimeters to when I'm driving. Alright guys, track time with the Golf GTI TCR, and we go to the sports mode. And just give it a go. And our instructor in front of us, that's again our Autogefühl well-known Benny Leuchter, professional race driver. We've had him here also in the interview a couple of times. And we also talked about earlier the difference to the TCR and the Golf R, because if you put the performance pack here for the TCR, you're price-wise just 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 euros away from the Golf R. What's the difference? Well, this one here is lower in weight. That's the main difference indeed. So the Golf R is heavier due to the all-wheel drive and stuff, and this one here just keeps the weight low, and this is better for the racetrack. Acceleration-wise, a Golf R is at 4.6 seconds to 100 kilometers or 60 miles an hour. But this one here is 5.6 seconds, so 1 second slower in the acceleration than the Golf R. But here on the racetrack, it's not about the 0 to 100 kilometer acceleration. We have a lot of grip here, also at the front axle. It's more about the lap times. And with this one here, with lower weight, we can score better lap times. That's pretty interesting to me, definitely. So, just all the power, 290 horsepower front wheels, 380 Newton meters of torque instead of 370 like with the Golf GTI Performance. But this software tuning of the engine with the 290 horsepower really gives more punch, and indeed, the GTI Performance is somehow suitable for the racetrack, but this one here indeed feels more like a true race car. So also the Golf R on the racetrack was great and felt so great in handling. This one here also, it's really awesome in the whole handling. It feels so well balanced, but at the same time it feels more like a true race car again. I can just stress that. So now we're giving it all away at the Autodromo near Faro, or near Portimao in Portugal, 214 kilometers an hour. Wow. Really great performance, and to really say, I have been expecting, less acceleration in the Golf R. Golf R with the all-wheel drive, also pretty cool. I'm really a Golf R fan. But this one here really surprises me, and also on the racetrack there is really then a big difference to the normal GTI Performance. Wow. So far I was always pretty relaxed when I was driving a Golf on the racetrack, and I have it totally under control here, but I really have to say this is probably the biggest rush of adrenaline I had so far in a Golf vehicle. That's really interesting. Wow. This is, it's front wheel drive only, but at the same time it's so well balanced that you could think you're not missing the rear wheel drive, and that's really seldom with a car, especially on the racetrack. So now when I'm also keeping it in the high RPMs, I also don't have any problems with, that the car doesn't shift down or something. And you can really be all the way full on the throttle. And that's also then, advantage of the front-wheel drive car. So you don't have this oversteer then. And big question is, well, is there any serious understeer? Not really. You have this front differential lock that comes with a GTI TCR already without the performance pack, and that is really giving me the full experience without experience this understeering effect. So again, you can see when you're smooth with the steering wheel, which is again great setup, you have it perfectly under control and don't have any negative understeering. Really, really interesting. I mean, a lot of manufacturers always say, we're building a car you can drive to the grocery store and at the same time you can go on the racetrack with. It's really the case for this vehicle, and from the outside it's really just a Golf, on the one hand. A Golf is, bought and sold and built in millions and millions. But when you take this one to the racetrack, you really feel that this one is something special. Wow. So indeed, for the racetrack, this TCR is just perfect. Really again positively surprised by that. And look again at the steering wheel and the feedback it gives me. I exactly know what the car is doing and what the front wheels are doing. So I have a direct connection to the road. That's pretty cool. And look at how less I have to steer. There's no way I have to, grab over or something. That's really amazing. I think this is one of the best steering setups there is overall on the market. It's so precise. At the same time, it feels so natural and it's so direct, even in the, small angle areas, There's always something happening. There is no dead zone at all. And we've been driving the BMW 3 Series on this very racetrack just a couple of weeks ago. And the steering here is so superb in comparison to the 3 Series. And, tell something. Hey, my Volkswagen Golf has a better steering than the BMW 3 Series. It's true. Sorry, BMW, at this point, it's really true. So, yeah. I can just stress again, a Golf may sound boring to some people, but get in this TCR and do just one lap on the racetrack and you'll totally change your mind. That's really, really interesting. And again, not so relaxed than I was with the Golf R. I really have to tell you, because this is more, it's more of a challenge here, because the car is somewhat, a more extreme Golf, but then you can also drive a little bit more extreme with it. Whew. That was a ride. What do you think? And now to Thomas's driving lounge with the normal street driving, because most of the time the car will not be used on the racetrack, but rather on public roads. And what's the difference there in comfort? What's also about the consumption and so on, and the overall fun factor. And one thing you immediately realize, especially comparing to a Golf GTI, as recently only sold as Golf GTI Performance, the suspension is indeed stiffer. So this car here is equipped, I said earlier, also with the optional performance package, which comes with those bigger rims and 19-inch, and also with the DCC, which puts it even 5 millimeters lower. So overall then 20 millimeters lower than a normal Golf. And those small bumps in the road, you do feel notably more than with the Golf GTI Performance. So if you're rather seeking a everyday Golf GTI, which has a little bit more comfort, then you would stick with the Golf GTI Performance. If you want that racing attitude also on the road, then you would go with the TCR version here. So you feel you have, a little bit closer connection to the road, for sure. Consumption will be just the same here with the 290 horsepower spec than with the 245 horsepower spec if you keep it rather steady. That's, by the way, what I meant with the suspension. Gave me a little kick there. You can score something between 7 liters and 1 kilometers if you really keep it very, very calm. That's the minimum consumption, and a realistic one would rather be 8 liters on 1 kilometers. That's some 29 mpg in the US or 35 UK gallons. That's a realistic consumption then. If you also, use the car at some point, and of course you want to do that. The DSG here is doing a great job once again, so very smooth transitions also when you drive the car in a calm manner. And if you want it sporty, you always can go into the sport mode, and then you have a little bit more acceleration, a little bit more sound, and the gears are turned up higher. That's all in normal driving mode, by the way. And in the driving mode, you go then to this mode selector. Then, for example, you go to the sport, which then automatically shifts to the S shifting mode. And you feel then that the DCC stiffens up a little bit more. It gets more race ready, as we've driven before on the racetrack. Again, that can be a lot of fun when the roads are quite well done. But if they're getting bumpier, then you would rather stick with the normal or even go to this comfort level, and then you can also drive the car a little bit better. And it's always ready for another acceleration when there's a little bit higher speed limit once again. And you can just punch it down. And there you are. And you can watch your co-driver like, but it's, still fun for Holger. Hey, we're also receiving thumbs up here from other cars next to us. So obviously this Golf's TCR or GTI TCR also is able to receive some thumbs up from passing cars. That's all. I mean, always a good hint, probably, that you've maybe also got the right pick with the vehicle. So we also have the blind spot monitor coming to the assistance systems. For example, blind spot monitor is one thing I would always pick. Here when the car appears now, then there's this yellow warning in the side mirror. That's very good. Very important system, and it's appearing quite early. I prefer this system with a little early warning for sure. Also, I've set the ACC, the adaptive cruise control, which is, for example, as the car is decelerating now in front of us, I'm not touching the brakes. Of course, you should always be brake ready, because those level 2 systems of semi-autonomous driving, they sometimes don't react that well on standing objects, and that might be the case at some point. So always be aware, don't trust them 100%, but those systems here, they work really pretty good. So very reliable as for that. Also, just in normal city driving, you are profiting from this direct steering setup, so you don't have to steer so much, and they really manage it very well that you have a feeling for the car, for the steering, even just here in some very slight angle nuances, and it still does something. But at the same time, it's easy enough that you can, ease the car in and out of the parking lot. I think they've done a wonderful job with that. It's one of the best steering setups I know on the whole market, really. That's really amazing. You can also say that just for the street driving, boom. That was, some pothole now from the sewage systems cover. Yeah, so I think for everyday driving, I would prefer the GTI Performance just for that, and also save a couple of €1,000, because I think the price performance deal is definitely better with the GTI Performance than with the TCR. If you seek to go to the racetrack here and there sometimes, then probably you'll be just fine with the TCR version, because as we said earlier, it did even a little bit better than on the racetrack. Of course, with all the modifications that have been made right there. But the GTI usually remains the comfort king in the compact hatch segment, the hot hatch compact segment. So, but it wasn't that aggressive before here. If you think, like another hot hatch more because it was just more aggressive, then this one could even up now. If you think the GTI Performance just itself, it was not aggressive enough for you, that could be a solution. Right now the road surface is very loud underneath us, so you can't really rate that for the overall impression, because the sound insulation here on the general vehicle is, I think, still among best in the segment. The Mercedes A-Class is also very good in that respect for sure. So I think the Mercedes A-Class and this one here, the VW Golf in general, not only the GTI, are leading as for the noise insulation. And now we're also taking you on a short trip on the motorway, as this one will also be a lot of fun for sure in this very vehicle. And it can still be used for cruising because those sport seats here are also quite decent in the comfort. They still hold you tight without narrowing you too much. So I think they found a very good compromise there. And of course also with a closed surface, you're always better off. It's not too warm outside from the air temperature, but the sun is shining in here, and if we would be now on some optional animal skin, we would already be sticking to the seats because it gets too hot. So now we're getting on the real motorway here. Still in the comfort mode, by the way, so I think it's a very good mode just for the everyday driving. When you have this DCC, yes, the suspension is lowered, but at the same time you have the choice then between the comfort mode and the sport mode, so then you have somewhat of a difference in between. So that might also be a clever choice, and if you want to spare a little bit more money. If you're in a D mode and the comfort mode, by the way, the car needs a little time to shift back, so either you use the shifting pedals right here, then go manual, and then you can accelerate a little bit better. Or if you go to the sport mode, for example, you can just leave the shifting pedals and you have a faster shifting, faster acceleration, although you've not done anything special. Here another acceleration, 80 to 120. Let's see, that's a realistic motorway sprint. That's it. It was even 125. Great thing, of course, always, I'm going back to the normal driving mode, is the stability also on the motorway. You feel very much at home in this vehicle, you feel very safe, you feel all the time pretty much in control because the car is balanced out very well. It's one of the cars where you feel best in control, so to say. We also experienced that on the racetrack. And so it's also suitable for longer motorway runs. Although a mid-size segment vehicle, which would be the Volkswagen Passat here in the VW lineup, gives you, of course, more comfort, especially if you're a little bit taller. Oh, bam. That's the suspension setup I've been talking about, even when in normal mode. But still, in the compact segment, among the compact hatches, I still found the Golf one of the most comfortable ones, even though the TCR version is, of course, not set on the most comfort, but of course the racy experience. And here, even at higher speeds, 120, see how stable and direct, precise the car is. It's just a pleasure. Such an evolved car. So, still also a great city car and a great motorway sprinter. But the taste of the TCR, you do feel it. But of course you want it when you pick the TCR. If you rather want that more comfortable GTI experience, as I said earlier, then stick with the GTI Performance. And now to our conclusion for today with the Golf GTI TCR. Well, I was really surprised how well this one was going on the racetrack, because I've been driving the GTI and the Golf R on racetracks all over the world before, and this was really a big difference. I wasn't expecting that. So it is way more aggressive, has of course some more power, not the same acceleration figures than the Golf R, but on the racetrack, since this one here is lower in weight, it is definitely faster than as for the lap times than the Golf R. Interesting. So if you want to take it out to the racetrack, then the TCR is also definitely something for you. And if you want a little bit more aggressive, because so far the Golf GTI was more in the most comfortable part of this hot hatch segment in comparison to other competitors, Here now you also get an extreme Golf GTI. The Golf R then, of course, if you want that all-wheel drive, it is somehow still a top spec Golf. I personally, for everyday driving life, would either go with the GTI Performance or with the Golf R then with the all-wheel drive. That's what I would pick just for normal driving on the streets. Either save a little bit of money with the GTI, have the GTI badge, just the front-wheel drive, or spend then, you know, the maximum amount of money for a Golf, go with the Golf R for the all-wheel drive. But if I also want some track experience, and I'm the one who wants the extreme Golf, then the TCR would be my pick. Interesting and of course good styling, as we know from the Golf. Interior top-notch. As for the build quality, I mean, it's a car you can do so many things with because it's still like a normal car, but this one definitely racetrack proof. Did you like our episode here today? Then give us a thumbs up please. Follow us also on Instagram and subscribe us here on YouTube if you haven't done so far. Stick with us here on Autogefühl. Thank you so much for tuning in.